Coming up on the Roar Report, women's soccer advances to OVC semifinals after beating the Redhawks in a shutout.
And later, we'll be joined by James Zugmaier from the Lindenwood bowling team to discuss the difference between the lower and upper divisions of the sport.
Welcome to the Roar Report. I'm Gabriel Levi.
And I'm Benedetto Bezzetta.
Lindenwood women's soccer shuts out Southeast Missouri State University in the quarterfinals of the OVC tournament. The Lions starting off strong with Anna Johnson scoring just over 2 minutes into the game. Not even a minute later, Mackenzie Compton scores on a deflection off of SEMO's Melissa Kubin. A few minutes later, Compton would score again for the last goal of the first half. The second half saw a back and forth between the Lions and the Redhawks until freshman Maddie Vaslov scored the fourth and final goal of the game with a well-placed shot. This win advances the Lions to the semifinals of the OVC tournament. Lindenwood men's soccer shuts out Southern Indiana by a final score of 7-0 on Senior Day at Hunter Stadium. The Lions finished their 2024 regular season with 10 wins, their most since 2017. Their 6 conference wins are also their most in the Division I era. Lions started off strong with a goal off of a header by Jermaine Mentor in the first 5 minutes. After a good back and forth for most of the first half, from the corner, Henrique Pastrello lobs it into Noah Bijou, who put the strike on the ball, scoring off the deflection on Southern Indiana's midfielder Wesley Rhodes for the second and last goal of the first half. The second half started off with a penalty against Southern Indiana. Lindenwood's John Gates then drills in the penalty kick. Lindenwood was able to hold off any attempt at a comeback before going in for kill after kill. A pass to a wide-open Makai Wright lets the Lions easily put up another point, and just over 1 minute later, Anis Smoljevic adds to the tally. Lindenwood went on to score 2 more goals, making this game an absolute shutout.
Lindenwood's women volleyball had a tough 2 games against Morehead State University. Morehead State took the win with 2-0 sweep over Lindenwood, marking the Lions' second consecutive loss. Set scores were close, with Lindenwood falling 27-29, 25-27, and 25-27 again. It was a hard-fought battle, but Morehead edged out in each set to secure the victory. Despite the loss, Lindenwood showed resilience. Nia Wilson led the team with 16 kills along with 2 aces and 2 blocks, giving the Lions a strong offensive push. Autumn Bax and Addie McCallier also contributed with double-digit kills, but it wasn't quite enough to overcome Morehead's defense. Lindenwood falls to 16-9 on the season and 10-3 in the conference. They'll look to regroup and bounce back as they head into next game. Turning now to Lions football. In the first quarter, Tennessee Tech's Jalen Mitchell breaks through with a 35-yard touchdown run, putting the Golden Eagles up 7-0 after the PAT by Don LeBlanc. In the second quarter, Tennessee Tech extends their lead with a 22-yard field goal by Don LeBlanc, making it 10-0. Shortly after, DJ Lincoln hauls in a 31-yard touchdown pass from Dylan Label, increasing the lead to 17-0. In the third quarter, Aiden Littles rushes in for a 22-yard touchdown, putting the Golden Eagles up 24-0. Lindenwood tries to get on board, but Cayman Spalding returns an interception 29 yards for another Tennessee Tech score, bringing it to 31-0. Lindenwood finally responds with a touchdown as number 86 connects on a 23-yard pass from Nate Glantz, making it 31-7. But Tennessee Tech answers with 2 more rushing touchdowns from Tyler Wilson and Jordan Yates, increasing their lead to 45-7 by the end of the third. In the fourth, Lindenwood puts up a field goal by Logan Seibert, but Tennessee Tech seals the win with the final score of 52-10.
Up next, we'll be speaking to James Zugmaier about the intricacies of bowling on a competitive level.
What's it like to be a student athlete in the OVC? We rise to challenges and challenge others to rise with us. We show respect. We lead by example. In the OVC, we become champions on and off the field. That's OVC Sports, and you've got to OVC it.
Welcome back to the Roar Report. You might know bowling as a fun activity for you and your friends on a Friday night, but there is a much more competitive side of bowling, one that requires specialized skills, techniques, and knowledge. Professional players practice to dial in their swings, speeds, angles, and releases to throw consistent balls despite changing lane conditions. James Zugmaier is a junior player on the men's bowling team at Lindenwood. He started playing for this team as a freshman in college, but joined his first bowling team his freshman year in high school. He won the Baker Tournament in the 2022-2023 season. James is here today to share his knowledge of this upper level of this sport.
Hello, James. Thank you for joining us today.
Of course.
Okay, so bowling being like a very, at least in my opinion, a more solo sport or a one-on-one sport, how does that translate to a team competition?
So whenever you're in a team event, you are, especially in college, there's so much more oil on the lane, and as a team, you have to attack the lane a certain way with the right equipment. So you're trying to break down the lane as a team and trying to give yourself the best chance to miss later. So if I burn the outside and I miss there later, miss room. You're trying to make the lane as scoreable as possible for your team. And then also when we're in tournaments, you have team games where you bowl by yourself and you have 4 other bowlers that are with you. And during that time, you're all trying to play like a similar line to break down the lanes. And that's really the team dynamic. It's an individual, like you got to make the shots, but if the team works together, you can vastly improve your scores.
Yeah, so you talk about the oil on the lane. So obviously in competitive, that's like a much bigger part of how the game is played. So how much more strategy, even on like the more solo level of your specific bowl, goes into trying to change that oil dynamic?
Yeah, it's really fun because in high school you're bowling on the normal stuff that you'd go into a bowling alley and bowl on. It's called house shot. It's really easy. There's a lot of missed room. You can kind of throw whatever ball you want on it as long as you get lined up. And then in college, we have 30 mils of oil on the lane, which is only like a shot glass. It's not a lot, but it covers 60 feet of wood, which is crazy. And there's different distances and lengths. So on a shorter pattern, I got to use stuff that maybe has a bit more surface on it, like sanding the ball down to make it not overreact. Or you throw urethane equipment so it's a little bit smoother. And then on the longer stuff, you got to bring out your most aggressive equipment. So no matter what you're bowling on, you're gonna have to attack it differently. And usually, like as a team, we'll have a meeting when we're in the hotel, like this is the pattern, this is how we plan to attack it, and during practice, this is what we're gonna probably be throwing tomorrow.
Okay, so as for the team sense, do you have like your coach, or is there like a team leader that's like actively surveying the lane, looking like, oh, this ball moved this way, we should change our strategy to this?
Yes, yeah, if you're on the bench, because usually like even when you're in, you're paying attention to it, but especially if you're on the bench, because you're not bowling at that moment, you're trying to get an idea of what the lane's doing, so you're watching everyone's shot. And if you see the go high, which means like getting too much of the head pin, hitting too much of it, you might tell them, hey, I need to see you make a move left, or your ball motion doesn't look right. What else do you have? What else did you bring with you? So a lot of that is just trying to like, just pay attention. You usually have coaches and they'll be like have the final say. But like it's really a team dynamic, especially on Lindenwood's team. It's just talking with each other and knowing what your teammates are capable of and how they normally bowl.
Okay, so you talked about the outside of the ball, kind of what that's made of. What about the core? Because I know that's a very more interesting part of the actual equipment.
The bowling technology has gotten so crazy. Now they're using AI to design the cores nowadays. They have like the Storm AI phase and they're quote unquote putting AI in everything. But like bigger cores will usually get the ball to roll. They're usually called bigger balls. They're not actually bigger, but the core is bigger. And the ball has a lot more energy and it wants to use it up sooner. And that's what you'll see on, like if I'm bowling on a really long pattern, I want a ball that has a big core in it that wants to get moving left. But then at the end of the day, whenever all the oil's off the lane, you go to something that's more symmetrical, because like the actual shape of it, it varies from ball to ball, and smaller, just so it saves its energy to the last second and has a chance to get through the pins properly. So the bowling ball technology is crazy, and the cores they're getting crazier every day. The shapes are getting nuts, man.
All right, so with Lindenwood team specifically, I heard that they don't actually have a head coach right now for your guys' bowling team.
Yeah, it's a situation, but so far they've done a great job handling it. Phil is the head of program. He is the women's coach right now. and he's found so many people to step in and volunteer. Like one of the bowlers' dads has been taking care of varsity. You have former bowlers or people from around the area stepping up to help with the JV teams right now. And we have a really good group of guys, and they all show up to practice and work hard so they know how you bowl, what equipment you need to be using, and they can help each other. But it's been kind of hard this year without having a head coach, but everybody else that's been involved has really stepped up and made a big difference for the program.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, James. This is very insightful about the world of bowling, more specifically the competitive bowling. And thank you all for joining us today on the Roar Report. We will see you next time, and go out there and support our Lions.